Hello, my name is Shoeb Kagda and welcome to Burrito Sato English. I'm the editor-in-chief of Globe Asia magazine. In our continuing series of interviews with partners and thought leaders for the upcoming Indonesia Economic Forum, we have today with us Arief Budiman, who is the President Director of McKinsey and Company Indonesia. Today we are going to talk about the rise of the consumer class and how it is impacting Indonesia's economy and the nation as a whole. Arief, welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Let me start with a look back in a way. Indonesia's had 10 years of stable, even sometimes accelerated economic growth. We've enjoyed rising per capita income, which has given fuel to the consumer trend. What were the key drivers of this sustained economic growth?
So, Shoeb, first and foremost, Indonesia, after the Asian financial crisis, actually get their act together in its macroeconomic management. It reduced the debt from 90% to 25%. It contained inflation from double digit to single digit, and that provides a strong foundation for economic growth. Then we were a little bit lucky because in the past decade, it is also the decade where Asia is rising, particularly India and China.
Right.
Particularly, it is benefiting our resources sector. Our exports of coal and palm oil is growing at double digits, and by 2010 we are exporting like $10 billion only on these two commodities. So that provides a good, strong trade balance and again strengthen the confidence to the economy. And then there is something about Indonesia itself, its intrinsics. So if you decompose growth into just growing labor force and the output of that labor force, we have a very young population. 60% of our population is below 30 years of age. And that gives a drive to the economy, roughly 2%, just by sheer growth in employment and population. But not only that, actually in some sectors, telecommunications, wholesale and retail trade, as well as transport equipment manufacturing, we are able to actually improve our productivity. So this has tremendous contribution to the growth. Now add on top of that, which is related to the consuming class, is the rate of urbanization. In 2000, we have roughly 60% of our population in rural area and only 40% in urban area. In that decade, between 2000 and 2010, we move into roughly half-half. And what it does is it makes consumer sector growing, services growing, because in in urban areas, many of these services can be done more effectively and efficiently. So all of these sectors have been going very well for Indonesia in the past decade.
So in a way, you would say it was a perfect storm, a combination of factors coming together with macroeconomic stability at the top.
Yeah.
How do you see this being sustained in terms of going forward?
Yeah. So we actually did quite a review about a year ago, and we highlighted three areas of opportunities and challenges. One is improving productivity. Second is ensuring inclusion. And third is actually ensuring resilience.
Right.
And it's become very, very clear and very urgent today. So if I take productivity, for instance, despite the rising productivity that I mentioned, we still have a long way to go compared to our neighbors. Our labor productivity is roughly 14,000 per labor, compared to Thailand of 20,000 and compared to Malaysia of 30,000. So it's still a long way to go. In order for us to continue just the historic growth, we need to improve it by 25%. And you see some of that being really, really urgent for us to address. Between 2006 and today, actually most of the growth coming from only labor, 90% of it. So clearly that trends of continuing productivity has stalled a little bit, and we have seen some of that. So something needs to be done over there. Moving on to inclusion, of course, rising income across Indonesia, but still half of the population is still living below $2 per day. That is actually lower than Vietnam or Sudan. Right. So something really needs to be done to make sure that the social fabric of the country remains to be intact. And finally is around resilience. We are still very early in our development trajectory. our economic per capita income is roughly only 3,000 per person. And as we have learned from other markets, as the country grow, we will consume more. We will need more. So energy, for example, the consumption will need to triple between now and 2030. Still the same, 2 to 3 times. Water, across all resources, we need to make sure that we have the supply and we consume them effectively. So those are in the physical area. The other area is actually capital. Indonesia actually has a very limited domestic capital market. Indonesia's largest corporation, even if they want to, need to go abroad to find capital to continue their growth. So these 3 areas, increasing productivity, ensuring inclusion, and ensuring that we have the resilience to continue our growth will be critical going forward.
Right. So in a way, you could say, it's a glass half full or a glass half empty, right? We have challenges with poverty, lack of infrastructure, but that itself provides great opportunity and potential for future business growth.
Yeah.
We will of course touch on the whole area of consumption in our next segment. So please stay with us. We'll be back.